My name is Amelia Burton. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Recruitment and International for the Faculty of Math at Waterloo. And I'm here today to talk about all of the exciting opportunities we have available, both academically as well as through extracurriculars at the university. The University of Waterloo is unique in that it's always considered itself very innovative. We've been named the most innovative university in Canada for the last 23 years by Maclean's magazine. And Waterloo always likes to do things a little bit differently. That's shown through our co-op program that allows students, both international as well as domestic students, to work while they're studying in their field. So not only are they earning money, but they have a better understanding of what it is they want to do when they graduate. And I'm here today representing the Faculty of Math. That's unique in that it's a fully formed faculty dedicated to the study of math and computer science. So it allows students that are really passionate about math and computer science to not only focus on those areas, but also to be able to specialize in fields that they're interested in and actually graduate with a Bachelor of Math or Computer Science at the end of their degree. Waterloo gets more students from Columbia International College than any other high school across Canada or around the world. And these students tend to do very well once they come to the University of Waterloo. And they're very strong academically, but they're also very involved in extracurriculars at the university. So we've had great partnerships with Columbia International College over many years, and we continue to see strong applications from here every year. I want to wish all of the students at Columbia International College the best through their applications. It's a very exciting time of your high school education as you're applying to go on to whatever the next adventure is, whether that's at Waterloo or at another institution. I want to wish you all the best for the future. Okay, I wanted to welcome you to the University of Waterloo presentation today. Thank you for coming out and staying after school to learn a little bit more about the university. For those of you that may have picked up a brochure when Valerie was here or from your guidance office, you can definitely follow along with this. I will be pointing out different things in the brochure as well today. And if you have any questions about a particular program or one of the faculties at the university, I'm happy to answer those throughout the presentation as well as at the end, whatever you prefer. So to get started, I just wanted to start by introducing who I am. My name is Amelia Burton, and I'm the Director of Undergraduate Recruitment and International in the Faculty of Math. So I represent one of our faculties at the University of Waterloo, but I'm able to speak to any of the different faculties. I myself am a graduate from our Faculty of Science from the Biomedical Sciences program. I've also worked in our Faculty of Engineering, and now I find my home in the Faculty of Math. And I get to travel and speak to students around the world, primarily outside of Canada, about what the university has to offer and what opportunities are available for students at the University of Waterloo. So to get started today, we'll start by looking at where exactly is the university located. Waterloo is located in the city of Waterloo. For those of you that have never been to Waterloo before, it's not too far from here. It only took me about an hour to get here today. So it's about an hour away from Columbia International College. It's also about an hour to an hour and a half west of Toronto, again, depending on traffic. And it's located in southern Ontario. Has anyone here been to the university before? A couple of hands. I know some people came from Columbia International College this past weekend for our fall open house. The city of Waterloo is known as one of the youngest populations in Canada, and that's because we have 3 different post-secondary institutions all located within the city of Waterloo. There's University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University, as well as Conestoga College. So that means that the city of Waterloo has one of the youngest populations in Canada. So there's a lot going on in the city as well as on the university campuses. The city is also known for many other things. One of those is the student-centered city that I mentioned. There's always a lot of festivals or different things that students can get involved in outside of the university. But it's also known as Canada's Technology Triangle. So the city itself is made up of 3 different cities: the City of Waterloo, Kitchener, as well as Cambridge. So Canada's Technology Triangle, what exactly does that mean? There's lots of technology companies available in the Waterloo region, whether those are startup companies, and we'll talk a little bit about the startup community within the University of Waterloo in a little bit. That also means that there's been some larger companies that have decided to make the city of Waterloo their home base. So for example, when Google was deciding where to open their first Canadian office, they chose to open in the city of Waterloo. That has meant great things for our students that get exposed to companies like that during their co-op terms or their summer jobs, or even in jobs they get when they graduate from their degree at the university. In addition to these tech companies, it's also known as a thinking town because we have 3 different institutions available, or research think tanks, within walking distance from the university. Now these aren't part of the university, but a lot of our students get involved in some of the research that's happening at these different research think tanks. So for example, the Perimeter Institute is the largest theoretical physics think tank in the world. That means that there's lots of physicists coming from all over the world to do research at the Perimeter Institute. Some of you may have heard of Stephen Hawking before, and he is one of those researchers that is part of the Perimeter Institute. When researchers come to do research there from around the world, they also then are able to use lab space at the University of Waterloo. In exchange for using our lab space, they also do special lectures for our students. So last year, we had what felt like a superstar coming to campus. They gave out tickets to students who were able to come and listen to a lecture by Stephen Hawking when he was on campus. So it shows the type of experiences that our students receive, both through research as well as through job opportunities, which I'll be talking about throughout the presentation. As I mentioned, Waterloo is known as the Technology Triangle in Canada, and that means that there's lots of different ways for students to get involved as you're going throughout your education. The University of Waterloo has a lot of accelerator centers, and those are different centers that promote entrepreneurship for students that have an idea for a company or something that you want to see make a reality. They have mentors from great corporations as well as other startups that come in and work with students to help you with your idea, whether that's leading towards a company idea or if that's just working on an idea during your undergrad that you then will continue with once you graduate. There's lots and lots of exciting things happening throughout the region, and with the support of the university, it's one of the reasons why the University of Waterloo is known as one of the most innovative universities in Canada. So now I'm going to focus and talk a little bit about the university itself, and then I'll move in and talk about some of our different programs that we offer. And then I'll end with talking a little bit about some of the extra ways that you can get involved. Throughout the presentation, I'll focus on our Faculty of Engineering and our Faculty of Math, but I will touch on all the other programs. And if you have questions about the other programs, don't hesitate to let me know, because I am able to speak to any of the different areas that we offer at the university. So within the University of Waterloo, we have just over 30,000 undergraduate students. So it's getting to be the larger end of a medium-sized university found within Canada. For those of you that have experience with other universities, there's lots to offer on each campus in all of the different universities we found within Ontario and across the country. Waterloo is also unique in that it's made up of 1,000 different acres. Not that our students are walking across those 1,000 acres every day to get to class, but that just means that there's a lot of different areas within the university, both dedicated to research, as well as the buildings where you'd find all of your undergraduate classes. The University of Waterloo is split up into different areas. This map here highlights all the different buildings that we have available on what we consider our main campus, or where all of our students spend their time in classes. All of the kind of turquoise buildings, or the blue buildings that are on this map, are where all of our lectures happen, all of the actual classes taking place. The yellow building that blends into the grass a little bit on this map is a unique building to a university campus, and that's our Center for Co-op and Career Action. So we have a building completely dedicated to co-op education, and I'll talk about what that means in a few minutes. The other buildings, which are the orange buildings as well as the purple buildings on campus, are our 9 different residence buildings that we offer at the University of Waterloo. Each residence has a very unique option. I'll talk about those closer to the end of the presentation, but I will point out now that there's 2 different types of residence. We have both our main campus, which are our larger residences, and those are the orange buildings. We also have our university colleges, and those are still part of the University of Waterloo. They're not a college in the typical sense of the word, but they offer a smaller community within the larger university. They have both residence as well as classes available that you can take at each college. And again, I'll highlight those closer to the end of the presentation, but for those of you that may be interested in environment or the arts, humanities, social sciences, you can take classes through the colleges, and they offer you a smaller class size than some of the main campus opportunities available. So as I mentioned before, Waterloo is considered very innovative. We like to do things a little bit differently, and you'll see that theme throughout the presentation today. Waterloo has been named the most innovative university in Canada for the last 23 years by Maclean's magazine. So as long as Maclean's has been running their survey, Waterloo has always claimed the top innovative spot. Waterloo also has a unique intellectual property policy, and that allows students, as you come up with an idea during your undergrad degree, to own that idea. So that's not the property of the university, that remains the property of the student. So we want to give you a lot of support, whether you're working with professors, other students, graduate students, or other people on campus. We want to make sure that you're able to explore your creativity and use what you're learning in your classes to go above and beyond with your interests. Waterloo has also seen, because of that property policy, many great companies come out of the university, like Kick Messenger. Some of you may use that on your phones now. That is a startup company that started with some students at the university. They came up with that idea while they were a student still, going to classes. They then expanded obviously on that idea, and it's become a huge part of what they do now today. So at the university, as I mentioned, we've seen lots of great ideas come out of Waterloo. Another great idea that started as students were still attending classes at the university was Buffer Box. And Buffer Box allows students the opportunity to accept packages even when they're not at home. So these students that were looking at creating a new idea were looking at people that maybe weren't at home during the day, and when delivery services were delivering packages to them, they would always miss the delivery and then have to go and pick it up after. With Buffer Box, the package gets delivered directly to the Buffer Box location. You're then emailed a code to get into the box to pick up your package, and you can pick it up at whatever time suits you best. That way you're not missing a delivery person, and whatever package you've ordered in the mail, you're able to get that at the time that is best for you. This is a great example of the types of ideas that our students have come up with and actually turned into big companies. And they've gone to places like Silicon Valley with this idea to get additional funding to make it a full-fledged company. So one of the things that I've mentioned a lot is working as you're studying at the university. Waterloo, when it was first created, wanted students to be able to combine work experience and school experience. And at Waterloo now, when you're looking at all of the different programs that we offer, in all of our different faculties, you'll see a lot of programs have the option of going into regular or into co-op. Has anyone here heard of co-op before? Great, okay. So for those of you that maybe haven't heard of it, or you've heard of it but you're not quite sure what that means, as a student that's in a regular program, that means you're in school for 4 years. You're always in school for 8 months in a row, and then you have a 4-month break over the summer between May and August. That's a really good fit for students that may want to go on to graduate school or additional professional schools, and you know that you're going to be spending some more time after those 4 years in more education. It may be a good fit for students that want to go home over those summer months to visit family, or maybe doing some other traveling, or perhaps if someone that has a summer job that they go back to every year. The other option at the university, and something that started with Waterloo and is a huge part about what Waterloo is still about today, is cooperative education. With co-op at Waterloo, you're getting paid work experience as you go throughout your degree. So that means that it takes longer to graduate. It's 5 years instead of 4, but you get up to 2 years of paid work experience, and you try up to 6 different jobs by the time that you graduate. In addition to this work experience in your field, you're also going through the experience of applying for jobs, going to interviews, and getting those jobs successfully. Throughout those 6 different jobs that you may have by the time that you graduate, the first job is always the hardest to get. And with co-op, they're available not just in Waterloo, also across Canada and in other countries around the world. So that means that there's lots of great experiences if you want the opportunity to live somewhere else in Canada, or perhaps to work in another country and gain that international work experience while still an undergraduate student. With co-op, because it is paid work experience, it's also a great way to help to pay for your education when you're at the university, whether that's your academics or your living costs, in addition to any scholarships or bursaries that you may get from the university or from the government. As co-op was one of the reasons why the university was founded, it's still a huge part about what Waterloo is about today. It's available in all 6 faculties. Our engineering faculty is completely co-op, so that means that every single student in engineering is automatically in co-op when they've been accepted into the faculty. Every other faculty on campus does offer co-op, and when we're going through the admissions chart, I'll point out how to find which programs offer co-op, which ones are regular, and which have both. When they offer both, you also get the opportunity to decide whether you want to apply to regular or to co-op right on your application. As I mentioned, co-op is still a huge part about what Waterloo has to offer. About 70% of our students are in a co-op program, so the vast majority of our students do choose to apply to co-op, and that gives them lots of great experiences as they're going throughout their degree. As I also pointed out on the map, we have a building completely dedicated to co-op on campus, so that means that students have lots of support. If you've never had a part-time job before, or you've never had the opportunity to work before coming to university, we will be able to help you build your resume, help you prepare for your first interview, and also prepare for your first job in the field. So now I'm going to highlight a little bit about some of the different areas that we have at the university. In the brochure, for those of you that have the viewbook in front of you, you'll notice that all of our different programs at the university are organized into themes. That means that we've just grouped them into different areas that are alike. I'm going to be highlighting engineering and mathematics during this presentation, but I want to briefly highlight the different areas that we have through the university as well. All of the different themes at Waterloo begin on page 8 of the brochure. Starting on page 8 is where you'll find our humanities, social sciences. This is where you'll find everything from English to psychology, history, political science. All of these programs are the ultimate flexibility. You don't have to apply directly to one of those programs. You're applying instead to honors arts, and then you get to take courses in these different areas before you decide what you want to focus your studies on. One other area that is unique at Waterloo, and something that's a little bit different, if you're interested in business or you're trying to find a business program, you'll notice at Waterloo that business is done a little bit differently. On page 9, we list all of the programs that we have that are business related. This includes things like accounting and financial management, but you'll also see some unique business programs. At Waterloo, we don't have a faculty dedicated to business. Instead, we incorporate business into all of the other areas that we have. So you become a specialist in a field like environment or arts or mathematics or science, but you still get that business background. So when we looked at creating business programs at the university, we talked to industry and we talked to different companies, and we asked them what they would like to see in a graduate from a business program. And they said they were looking for specialists that still understood the business background. And that's how we've designed all of our programs. So it's very unique. You won't find just a business program, but it does allow you the opportunity to combine what you're really interested in, but also take business courses. So again, it's something that's a little bit different. The next area is also, I'm going to skip over engineering from now. I'll go back to that in a second. Our environment and sustainability. Waterloo had one of the first faculties of environment in Canada. So we look at really creating a more sustainable world. This includes everything from our geography and environmental management program, as well as our environment and resource studies, which is where students learn a lot of the skills that you would need to help fight some of the environmental issues you hear about so often on the news today, like global warming or oil spills or anything along those lines. This is a humanities-based environment faculty, so that it really allows you the opportunity to take those environment courses, but it's not heavily science-based, so it's great for those students that are looking for that more of a humanities background. We also have a variety of areas in the sciences. This includes things like our health and helping professions. For those of you that may want to go on to med school, dentistry, optometry, or other medical related programs. All of the programs that are listed here, as well as on our physical life and health sciences page, are great for those students that want to learn more about the world. So a lot of these programs also have lab components. So you're not just listening in your lectures, but you get that hands-on experience of taking those labs in addition to the classes and what you're learning from your professors. And then the final area I'll point out before I go into engineering and mathematics is our international studies and languages. This includes different languages that you can major in at the university, but also ways that you can get that international experience at Waterloo. We do have a program called International Development that looks at that sustainability aspect, but in other countries around the world. Students will find that in the Faculty of Environment, and again, that is a unique program in that you spend the first 3 years in Waterloo, and then the last 8 months you spend abroad in another country learning using what you've learned in your courses to apply internationally. So the next area that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to focus a little bit more on engineering. So this is the engineering theme that you have in the view book. I brought with me one of the engineering brochures. Each of our different areas at Waterloo also has a specific brochure that is dedicated to that area. So it's got a little bit more details about what you can do in that faculty and also what the programs are. Within engineering, we have the largest engineering school in Canada. So that means that there's lots of different opportunities for students to specialize in the field that you're interested in. Engineering is unique in a couple of ways at Waterloo. For those students interested in going into engineering, you have to keep in mind at Waterloo, it's the opposite of our arts programs. We don't have a general first year. Instead, you specialize right from your first day of classes. So that means when you're applying to engineering at Waterloo, you're going to choose one of the 14 different areas that we offer in engineering. Whether that's civil engineering, computer, mechanical, mechatronics, or some of our newer fields like nanotechnology or biomedical engineering. When you're applying on your application, it'll only allow you one engineering choice with the exception of architecture. So that means that you can only choose one area within engineering to apply to. Then once you've completed your application, you're asked to fill out an additional form through the university. On that form, that's where you can choose your second and your third choice. And they'll only look at those if you don't meet the admission requirements for the initial engineering program that you applied to. One other thing that is also unique with engineering at Waterloo is that every single student in engineering is automatically in the co-op program. So when you're filling out your application, you don't have to choose co-op, anything like that. It's automatically included as part of the engineering faculty at Waterloo. So 100% of our students are in co-op. Engineering is a very hands-on faculty. They like the opportunity for students to get a lot of hands-on experience in addition to your classes. Now these design teams are housed in one of our engineering buildings on campus, but they are available for students to participate in from any faculty. Each of our design teams that participate in competitions around the world, like our concrete toboggan team or our solar race car team, they are made up of students from a variety of different faculties. So for example, they look at computer scientists that are helping them do some of the programming for the different cars. They look at business students that have that background that are able to help get them sponsorships so they compete in different competitions. They also are looking for people that may be in the speech communication program at Waterloo that are able to give presentations and talk a little bit about the work that they're doing and share that with the other people at the university or potential sponsors at that are external to the university as well. All of these design teams are housed in our Student Design Center, and it's completely dedicated to student use. So all of these design teams are there, and there's also big open areas so that they're able to collaborate with each other as well. But in general, it's a very hands-on faculty that you'll be able to take what you're learning in the classrooms and go one step beyond, combine that with what you're interested in. With the next area that I'll talk about is math and computer science. Within the Faculty of Math, one thing that's unique is first that it's a Faculty of Mathematics. At some universities, you may find mathematics as a department, part of the Faculty of Arts, or possibly part of the Faculty of Science. One thing that's unique at Waterloo is that we really believe in how important mathematics education is and why that deserves a faculty dedicated just to the study of math and computer science. So that means that we've formed an entire faculty, and that means that students have a lot of choice. With over 500 different courses in math and computer science, and over 200 professors that have come from all over the world to teach our students in the faculty. It also means that we attract a lot of great students from around the world. The Faculty of Math has a higher percentage of international students, with up to 34% that are international, whether they're coming from a high school within Canada or a high school around the world. And that just means that we really like those students that are really passionate about math or computer science will be able to find like-minded students here in the faculty at Waterloo. So what is one of the differences with being a faculty versus being a department? One of the big differences, as I mentioned, are the options and the different choices available to students with over 500 courses to choose from. Another change and difference between a department versus a faculty is at Waterloo, as part of a faculty, you then actually graduate with a Bachelor of Math or a Bachelor of Computer Science at the end of your degree. So that just goes along hand in hand with those students that are really passionate about this field and want to be able to focus their studies on this area. Within the Faculty of Math at Waterloo, we split the faculty up into 3 different areas. So the first is our School of Computer Science, and this is the David R. Cheriton School of Computer Science. Computer Science is housed under the Faculty of Math, and students going into computer science will take both math courses as well as computer science courses. These students will take the same general courses as our math students would take in their first year. This just means that the university really believes that you need mathematics in order to do computer science. Computer science offers students the ultimate flexibility. No 2 students graduating from a computer science program have exactly the same courses that they've taken throughout their degree. So once you're in computer science, there are 17 different areas that you can specialize in. So that just means that you really get to tailor your degree, whether you want to go into human-computer interaction, science computation, software engineering. Again, once you get to take some of those courses, once you start at the university, you can decide what it is that you're interested in and what you want to do with your program. In addition to computer science, the other area within the Faculty of Math is our math and business. As I mentioned, at Waterloo, we don't have just business. Instead, we combine business with other areas. So for example, in math, you get to combine your love of mathematics with business programs. I'm going to highlight a couple that are quite popular with our students, one of which is our mathematics, financial analysis, and risk management. Some students also shorten that to our math farm program. That is for students that want to be able to analyze risk and look at whether that's working for insurance companies, banks, or other corporations, and help them explain what type of risk they would have, whether that's in investments or other areas. This again is part of our Math and Business program and is also closely linked to our Actuarial Science program. Actuarial Science looks at similar aspects. It's again managing risk, but it's specifically working with insurance companies and working towards that actuarial scientist designation once you graduate and you complete your additional testing after you finish your studies. 2 things that are unique at Waterloo, we also have 2 double degrees, and that means that in 5 years you're getting a full degree in mathematics or in computer science, and also a full degree in business administration with Wilfrid Laurier University. So I mentioned Wilfrid Laurier was just down the street from us. So a student that is very passionate about math or computer science, but also very passionate about business, you can enroll in the double degree program. You're actually taking classes at Wilfrid Laurier as well as at Waterloo. At the end of those 5 years, you then get to graduate with 2 degrees, both in business as well as math or computer science. Now the final area in the Faculty of Math is mathematics itself. For any of the math majors that we have available, you don't have to choose those until you're at the University of Waterloo. So for those of you that may be interested in actuarial science or statistics, you don't actually choose that until you become a student at the university. I've touched on a little bit about what actuarial science is all about. Statistics is another quite popular program through honors mathematics. People that work in statistics are working with big data. With all of the computers and electronic devices that we use today, we're collecting lots and lots of data, and we need people that work in statistics to be able to analyze that data to help us make great decisions in the future. In addition to these, I'm going to highlight a couple more of those different majors available. There are over and above what I'm mentioning here. These are just some of the most popular ones that we see questions from students. One of the other ones that I'll point out is our applied mathematics. That's taking mathematics modeling and applying that to a variety of different industries. For example, we have a professor's lab just down the hall from my office, and that's what's highlighted in the picture here. And they're looking at fluid dynamics. So they're actually using mathematical models to predict how things will move within the ocean. So for example, if there's an oil spill, they would be able to use a mathematical model to predict how fast that oil spill will spread and how much time they may have before it gets further into the ocean based on currents and a variety of other factors. So it shows you kind of the wide variety of different industries you can go into with a mathematics background. So it combines mathematics with other areas. For those that may be interested in something like math and something in the sciences, we have our mathematical physics program. We also share two programs with other faculties, and that's our software engineering program that's housed under our School of Computer Science, as well as our Faculty of Engineering, and our Computing and Financial Management program. That's one of those math and business programs that combines computer science plus financial management, and that's housed also with our School of Accounting and Finance. So I'm going to highlight a couple of stories within the faculty. This first one here is a student that on his co-op term was able to work with surgeons in downtown Toronto. He used mathematical models to predict where surgeons would be able to make a cut when they're doing surgery on children. He was able to then help them with fewer scars as well as more or less effects after the surgery. So he was able to use math to help surgeons, and again it shows you kind of the different fields that you're able to work in depending on your interests. For those of you that may have seen Transformers or any of those other action films that include a lot of computer science behind the scenes, this is one of our grads that was in honors computer science that knew he loved film and wanted to be able to help with some of those graphics on films. He took his experience during co-op and he took that opportunity to work at companies like Pixar. Using that experience, when he graduated, he now works for Lucasfilms, and he's able to do lots of great animation for different films like The Avengers, WALL-E, as well as Transformers. So he takes what he learned in his computer science classes and combines it with his love of film and all of the different actions that you would see behind the scenes. So a couple of other things that I want to highlight. In addition to all of the programs that I covered today, there's lots of other support services that are really important for our students. The first is our health services, where we have a mini kind of hospital on campus that includes doctors, nurses, nutritionists, and counselors that are able to support students throughout your education. We also have lots of different sports that you can get involved in, as well as over 150 different clubs to choose from. This could range everything from academic-based clubs for those students that may want to go on to med school or to law school. We also have cultural clubs for those that want to learn a little bit more about different cultures from around the world. And then also, of course, interest-based clubs. And for some students that can't find a club that they're interested in, all you have to do is find 7 other friends and you can form your own club. Has anyone here read Harry Potter? Any couple of nods? Does anyone know what the sport is that they play in Harry Potter? I think I heard it. Does anyone remember what they play in Harry Potter? So Harry Potter and his friends play a sport that they do on brooms. They play Quidditch. And this was a sport that some students at Waterloo were very passionate about. They loved Harry Potter. They'd read all the books, they'd seen all the films, and they wanted to be able to form their own Quidditch club. And this sounds a little bit crazy because as far as we know, we're not flying yet. But what they do is they still play the sport with brooms. They run around on a field and it's actually become something that's popular at other universities as well. The University of Waterloo is hosting a Quidditch tournament that their students from Waterloo are competing against other university teams. It's become something that's quite popular, and it just started with one student's idea to form a club dedicated to Harry Potter because he was such a passionate fan. So it just shows the kind of different opportunities you have available to find students that have similar interests to yourself. The one other one that I'll point out here is our Student Success Office. That houses both our international office as well as success coaches. As a student coming into the university, if you have an idea of what you want to do when you graduate, or if you have no idea, you just know that you're really passionate about the sciences or mathematics or engineering, you can work with these success coaches where they can give you tips to help do well on your exams. They'll also help figure out where it is that you want to go when you graduate, whether it's more schooling or different jobs or working somewhere across Canada. So this Student Success Office is dedicated to helping you succeed both in your undergrad education as well as once you finish at Waterloo. I want to talk a little bit about residence and the different options that we have at the university. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that we have 9 different residence buildings on campus. Each residence building is a little unique in what it has to offer students as well as what it looks like. At the university, we split our residences into 2 different types. All of our residence is guaranteed for first-year students. So once you've been accepted into the university, you're guaranteed a spot in one of our residence communities. As I mentioned, we have lots of different opportunities available. Out of the 9 different residences, we split them into 2 different types. We have our university colleges that I mentioned at the beginning, as well as our main campus residences. The majority of our residences on campus are all traditional style, and that's available for students that want to eat all of their meals in the cafeteria. Those are similar to the green as well as that turquoise one there. Those residences are traditional style. It's either a single or a double room. You would have a shared bathroom and all of your meals would be in the cafeteria, either in your residence or any of the other cafeterias on campus. Another option is our apartment style or suite style residences, and those are the pink ones here. So one of the examples of what the floor plans might look like, and that's for students that absolutely love to cook their own meals, and they want the opportunity to have their own kitchen and then eat meals with the other people in their suite. Depending on what is the right fit for you, I always recommend taking a look at all of the different floor plans, reading a little bit more about the residences. Each offers a very unique community on campus, whether it's one of our main residences or one of the colleges. Living in the college, you always eat all of your meals in the college that you're living in with all of the other students that you're living with in that college. So you get to become very well known among all of that group of 300 or less students per college. With the main campus residences, that's a little bit of a different experience because you can eat at any of the different cafeterias on campus. You can go online, see what the different cafeterias are offering, and then choose where you want to eat based on the type of food that you want for that day. There's lots of different opportunities, and the vast majority of our students live in residence in their first year, and then after their first year, there's lots of opportunities to live in apartments in the surrounding community. Okay, so a couple of the important things at the end, the application process. All of this is highlighted in the view book that many of you have in front of you, closer to the back of the brochure. All of the admission requirements are listed in this view book here. Depending on what program you're interested in, it's color-coded by the different faculties we have at the university. So for example, engineering is listed all under the purple heading there, mathematics is under pink, and then all of our other faculties are different colors. In the first column, this is where you'll find all of the entry programs. So these are the programs that you can apply to directly out of high school. For some programs and some faculties, the major and the entry program are the same. Like in our Faculty of Engineering, you'll notice that you're applying directly to the program you're interested in. For other programs, like for example our Honors Arts program or our Honors Mathematics, you'll notice that in the second column there's a lot of different choice, and that's all of the different majors you can choose from once you're at the university, and you don't have to decide on that until you're at Waterloo in your first year. In the third column, those are the specific Ontario requirements. We're looking for 6 different courses. Some programs have more required courses than others. So for example, the Faculty of Science and Engineering have 5 required courses. Those are all listed in that third column. The Faculty of Math has 3 required courses, and again, those are listed in the third column. They're looking for the advanced functions, calculus, English. For any AP classes or things like that, we also have additional requirements listed on our website, and they will look at all of the things that are listed on your transcript for admission to the university. So it's a blending of these courses plus any additional courses that you might be taking. On the very last column in this brochure, that also lists the minimum admission requirements that we're looking for admission into the program. You'll notice it's a little bit different depending on what program it is that you're looking at. And also some faculties like mathematics as well as engineering list individual selection from. That means that we're looking at more than just your grades for those faculties. When you're going through your application process, one of the other important aspects to keep in mind is the Admission Information Form, or AIF. And that is the second little point listed there. It's also listed in the brochure as well. This is the first year that it is required for engineering and math for you to submit the Admission Information Form. This is basically your resume. It's an opportunity for you to brag about yourself and talk about things you're doing outside of the classroom. If you're taking more than 6 courses in your final year of high school, that's an opportunity for you to talk about that there. If you are doing any contests, whether that's math contest related, volunteer service that you do for high school, any part-time jobs you might have, anything else along those lines gets included on this form. Any clubs that you're part of, sports teams that you're part of, all of that goes onto the admission information form. For engineering, they score all of these forms, and it can add up to 5% to your overall average. And with the Faculty of Math, we score all of the different forms as well. We give you a score, and we combine that with your average for your ultimate admissions decision. With all of the other faculties, it can be helpful for your admission. It is not required, but we always highly recommend that you submit your admission information form. So we're looking for those students that are able to balance their academics with other opportunities as well. One of the other things that I'll point out on here, I mentioned the math contest at Waterloo. With mathematics at Waterloo, if you're interested in receiving a scholarship from math, it is required that you write the Euclid math contest. That's done in April of every year. Some of you may have done it before. We always recommend the Euclid score that we use for your scholarship decision is in your final year of high school, so in your grade 12 year. The Euclid that's done in April then, some students are worried that if they don't do well on the Euclid, that they are not going to get admission to the university. It will not be negative towards your application. It can only help you. The Euclid is meant to be a challenging contest. Out of the 19,000 students that wrote the Euclid last year, we only had 1 perfect. So it is meant to be a challenge. The average on the Euclid is a 50 out of 100. We start to give out scholarships for students typically if they get an 80 out of 100 and above. So there are all of the previous tests from previous years listed on our Center for Education and Math and Computing website. That way you can actually try out some of the past contests, see the full answer solutions and what we would have given full marks for. In addition to the Euclid, I also want to highlight the application deadlines. For most programs, the application deadline is the end of March, and we must have all documents, including your admission information form, prior to April 8th. That is kind of the important things to consider and keep in mind. One of the additional things that I'll highlight are some of the scholarship opportunities available to students. I mentioned how co-op is a great way to help pay for your education at Waterloo. Another one is through entrance scholarships. For the university in general, we do have general entrance scholarships. You do not have to apply for these scholarships. You're automatically considered based on your grades in May. These are done off of the 6 courses that we use for admission into the university, and it doesn't matter what faculty you're part of, the President's Merits and Distinction Scholarships are available to all students. In addition, each faculty has their own scholarships. Most of those are automatically considered for based on your grades. With the Faculty of Math, as I mentioned, we are also looking for participation in the Euclid Math Contest. The Faculty of Math has a lot of additional scholarships for students. There are the scholarships that are available with the Euclid Math Contest. We also have a scholarship application that's separate from the Euclid scholarships, and that's available for students that have lots of extracurriculars, whether it's volunteering, sports, clubs, anything over and above. You can fill out an application for this scholarship that's due February 8th. So that is, in addition to your strong math grades, we're also looking for students that have lots of extracurriculars. And then the final area within math is our general entrance scholarships that you can receive as well. So there's 3 different scholarships within math, but as I mentioned, each faculty has their own scholarships. Some of those will look at the admission information form. So it is important that you do fill that out and submit that back directly to the University of Waterloo. I wanted to leave you with my contact info. I also have a bunch of cards at the front of the room as well. If you want to pick up one of my cards, if you think of a question later today or later in the application cycle, you're more than welcome to pass that along to me. I do have a couple of faculty-specific brochures at the front, both computer science as well as mathematics, and I have one engineering brochure as well if you want to pick one up on your way out. But I wanted to thank you very much for coming out today.